Hello everybody, and thanks for coming by. I've been working on these Victorian sashes and I've done a few videos in a series on them. In this particular one I had the adventure of dealing with carpenter bees that were still alive and resident in the sashes, so let me show you what I did. When I was working on this sash, I heard some strange faint buzzing noises. So when I went to hammer it apart up here, the buzzing got significantly louder and a carpenter bee crawled out of the sash somewhere. And I don't know if you've ever seen a carpenter bee, but they're pretty large. They're about the size of a quarter. And of course they're big and they're black with a giant abdomen. When they fly, they make a pretty loud buzzing noise. They can be somewhat intimidating. I wouldn't necessarily call them aggressive, but I do know from experience they will try to intimidate you if you get too close to their nest. And just to be clear, it's important to understand that like termites and carpenter ants, there's no good reason for carpenter bees to be in and around your house. You should do everything you can to keep them away. So anyway, I killed that bee, kind of scared the daylights out of me, and then I heard even more buzzing. So as I was looking around for a way to deal with that carpenter bee, he came out and flew out into my basement somewhere. And about an hour or so later, I found him and managed to kill him. Then the next day I was working on this, and son of a gun if another bee didn't crawl out right out here around the corner. And I killed it once again, scared the daylights out of me. So when I was gluing this thing up, there's a hole over here that I filled with epoxy and sawdust. And there was a hole up here that I packed with wood glue and sawdust, and another hole over here that I packed. Flipping over to this side, when I was removing the sash, I was a little surprised how easily I punched a big divot in the sash up here. So that's actually a cavity where there was a bee. Then I noticed there was a little hole over here that I've enlarged with my chisel. There's a length of copper wire, and I can snake this all the way into there before I'm hitting something, which is putting it up over here. And this is the area not too far from a hole that I filled. I should do something to firm that up a little bit so that when you're handling it in the future, it won't be too bad. So I've been working on this and I've been hearing more of those funny noises, and I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but if I hit this here, so I still have some live ones in the sash. I had dug out this channel a while ago trying to make sure I could fill it properly, and I discovered that there was buzzing inside, and I dug out this area here and I found two dead carpenter bees. I don't know if you can see them. They're pretty large animals. And while trying to find the other end of this tunnel, I discovered there was still more buzzing going on inside. So apparently those two dead bees were stopping the insecticide I was using from reaching whatever was further in the sash. At first I was using an insecticide that you would spray around the perimeter of your house, and I call those kind of benign insecticides, if you will. And that wasn't doing the trick. A couple times I had saturated this area, just made a mess of my bench, and I still didn't get a bee that was buzzing around in here. So I changed tactics. I got out these types of sprays which kill pretty much instantly, but these spray a mist. So I have this rubbery tube. This came out of an inkjet printer. This was the tube that delivers the ink from the reservoir to the print head. It was rubbery enough where I could fit it over the nozzle of the spray can, and then I could get it into the individual holes, sort of like spraying WD-40 through a nozzle. And that seems to have worked. I don't hear any more buzzing in this sash. And then if that wasn't depressing enough, I was working on this sash that I've done a lot of work on, and I heard some buzzing going on up in this corner. I had to spray this area as well, and I did that because I was trying to figure out how far up this tunnel went, and you can see it goes quite a ways up into the sash, at least that far. And in case you're wondering, this isn't really something I really want to be doing. And then when I was working, I discovered this guy on the floor of my shop. I'm not sure why he's doing so bad. He's still alive. See him crawling around down there. just to give you an idea what these guys look like. And when they fly, they make a buzzing noise. If you happen to be around their nest and they feel threatened, they'll kind of fly and hover in front of you to block your way. And here he is next to a ruler, just to give you an idea. Better part of an inch in total length. So this is the technique I've kind of settled on. I marked it with blue tape so that I could keep reminding myself. This is just a mixture of sawdust and yellow glue, and I just put it in, try to coax it up into the tube. Then I take a little piece of paper towel and use it as a wadding. Put it in, and I use the wire sort of as a ramrod. But it really gives you an idea of just how much damage left unchecked these insects can do. So if you see giant black bees flying around your house, try to make a mental note of where they're going and call a qualified exterminator or something. I'm just trying to get that in place. Grab another piece of paper towel, ball it up. So it's been a couple days, and I actually opened up a couple of these cavities to see how well my stuffing with the filler was working, and it seems okay back here. I can actually feel solid. This is the hole that I stuffed it in from, and up here I stuffed it this way. So there's a cavity here, and I'm filling here. And I think at this point I'm going to use a Bondo filler. And over here is a close-up of the wood filler. I think it blends in pretty good. Well, that's what I got for this, guys, and I sincerely hope that none of you had the displeasure of having to deal with issues like this one. But if you do, at least you've got some ideas on how to deal with it. And as always, thanks for coming by. If you learned something here, please like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and keep your eyes out for the next one.